Hi, my name is Adam Sipione, creator of A Gamer's Journey, The Definitive History of Shenmue, and you are listening to the SEGA Lounge.
Welcome to the SEGA Lounge, where we celebrate our love for all things SEGA, including the games, the music, and the community. I'm your host, KC. Join me as I talk to different guests and learn more about their projects and passion for SEGA. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the SEGA Lounge, where I talk to interesting people about SEGA every week. As we're now 3 months into Season 7 of the show, I'd like to take a moment to welcome all the new listeners that have recently joined our community of loungers. It's great to know you're listening. If you've just discovered the SEGA Lounge and are still catching up on previous episodes, here are a few personal highlights of the current season of the show in maybe around a minute or so. Episode 175 brought a proper gaming industry legend to the lounge. John Hare of Sensible Software was here, and as amazing as our conversation was, I think a lot of you missed out on it, so go listen to that one. Elliot Kidner had a video at Sega of Europe dropped by on episode 178, and he was a joy to talk to. Pretty fun episode for those wondering what it feels like to be working at Sega. Our latest guest was the amazing Steve Lysett of Sumo Digital, and a man who has worked on such iconic Sega titles as Outrun 2, Sega Superstars Tennis, and Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. If you haven't listened to episode 183, don't miss out on this great conversation. Finally, as a change of pace, episode 182 was our first roundtable show of the season, with myself and two friends discussing the current state of 3D Sonic and celebrating 6 months of the release of Sonic Frontiers. Of course, I think every episode is a must-listen, but these are some quick off-the-cuff suggestions for newcomers. That said, it's time to talk about this week's guest. This week, I'm joined by returning guest Adam Sipione. The last time Adam was on the SEGA Lounge was in August 2018 to promote the Kickstarter for his Shenmue documentary. The road was long and arduous, but this Shenmue fan's journey is finally coming to an end as physical copies of A Gamer's Journey, The Definitive History of Shenmue, are getting to the hands of backers around the world. So it was only fair that Adam came back 5 years later and shared some stories and challenges surrounding the making of his love letter to Yu Suzuki and his iconic series. Hello, Adam. Welcome to the SEGA Lounge once more.
Yes. How's it going, David? Thank you for having me back.
Yes, welcome back. Very nice to have you again. And no better time to have you on the show than when people are getting their copies of your documentary.
Yeah.
So really excited to talk a little bit about that. But so back when you came to the show the first time, it was a very different show. It was a radio show, still different audience as well. So I don't want to repeat my questions, but briefly for people who are unaware of your history with Shenmue. First of all, how did you get into Shenmue?
Okay. That we have to go back. It's an old game. So how I first got into Shenmue is actually different than a lot of people. My first time discovering the Shenmue series was actually for the Xbox, believe it or not. It was Shenmue 2 for the Xbox. I came home from school one day and my older brother had rented a bunch of video games from the local Blockbuster when that was still a thing in Canada. And one of the games was Shenmue. And I thought the manual that it came with inside, because when you rent a game, it doesn't come with the box art, unfortunately, but it comes with the manuals. And I thought the manual was really, really cool. The art on it was neat. It was very detailed with like all the different things you can do and what the story was about, and that intrigued me. And when I popped it in, the first thing I saw was that it came with like a little, they called it the digest movie, that came with like the recap of Shenmue 1. And I watched that first because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. And it was like long and weird because it was gameplay footage mixed with cutscenes, but I really enjoyed it. I'm like, oh, this is super cool. And then I played Shenmue 2 and just blasted through that game. And I guess the rest is history. After that, I tracked down, a Dreamcast, Shenmue 1, played those games a bunch of times. And yeah.
Excellent. That's
Hmm.
nice. I always like this because I'm imagining I played the first one first, obviously on the Dreamcast, and
Yeah.
I'm just imagining how someone
Yeah.
just discovers Shenmue 2 out of the blue, and the first thing they do is watch the movie, and I can't really. It's probably a
Yeah.
something mind blowing, but at the same time, not so much because as you said, gameplay footage mixed with cutscenes, so probably not the best, but enough to spark
Yeah.
curiosity and
I,
make you
I,
want
I
to play
will
it
say
again.
I'm glad they included that. I really, because if you pick that up, it opens with you're getting off the boat, you're in Hong Kong, you don't know who you are, why this mirror is important. So they needed to add some context. I will say though, the only reason I never discovered Shenmue 1 organically on the Dreamcast was because the town I grew up in, none of my friends, neighbors, anybody's brothers, siblings, whatever, nobody had a Dreamcast. It just wasn't popular, it didn't catch on. There was like one kid that kind of kept to himself that owned the Dreamcast, and he was known as the Dreamcast kid. Everyone else just had Sega, or sorry, Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox, and it just wasn't a thing that I was familiar with or had exposure to. But yeah, after I played it on the Xbox, I went out of my way to track down a Dreamcast like right away. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
then you thought, oh, that Dreamcast kid, he
yeah,
was onto something.
he was
Yeah.
onto something. He was actually the one. Another funny story is I mentioned to him, "Hey, you have a Dreamcast? I just played this game called Shenmue. I love it so much. Have you played it?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, that game sucks. I have. Do you want it? Like, I don't want it. My uncle gave it for me for my birthday, and I hate it." And I'm like, yeah, yeah, give it to me. Give it to me right now." And I still have it to this day. Shout out, Kevin.
Okay, so no, he he didn't get it. No, no,
No, he
no,
did not get it.
no, no, no. Okay, so that's great. That's great, Adam. And you decided long before the announcement of the Kickstarter for Shenmue 3, you decided to make a documentary about your love for Shenmue,
I
right?
did. Yeah.
Why?
So why? Yeah, another kind of a loaded question, but not really. So Shenmue kind of stuck with me, as I'm sure it did with most people. It stuck with me for quite a while, like all throughout high school into college. And at one point, my first or second year of college, I decided to kind of just like retire it mentally because trying to focus on setting myself up for a career, move on with my life, whatever. So I had to just say goodbye to that part of my brain mentally. So I put Shenmue on the back burner. And then a few years later, after graduating college, I kind of revisited it, and I was reminded about how awesome that game was, and I was like, yeah, I really do like this game. And then the first thing I did was, oh yeah, is Shenmue 3, like what's going on with that? Because it had been 5 or 6 years of nothingness, that I hadn't really thought too much about Shenmue, and still no Shenmue 3. But this was, when social media was a big thing, bigger than it was when I first played Shenmue. And I discovered, things like the Shenmue 500K on Facebook, and Shenmue was very active on Twitter. There was the Shenmue Dojo, of course, which I
Mhm.
remember visiting frequently, like on a daily basis back in the day. And I just saw that so many people were, doing these campaigns that involve like graphic design and photos and collages where everybody's holding up like letters to spell out a sentence, and all these cool things to keep that the franchise alive. And I thought, okay, well, I went to film school. I'm not a professional. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm still fresh from college, but I have my own equipment. I have my own little small business. Maybe I have the resources to kind of like make a fairly polished video, short documentary, whatever, just about Shenmue. And it was kind of going to be like my little love letter put out there into the world to show whoever watched it that there's still people who care about this game, and maybe if the right person sees it, maybe they will make a Shenmue 3. Like, not to say that it was gonna somebody was gonna watch it and fund Shenmue 3, but it was like, this will be my contribution because everybody else seems to
Of
be doing
course.
something.
Yeah.
So that's how the idea started. And it started with me, with my little camera kit. I had a Canon C100 with like some cinema lenses and a Sennheiser lav microphone and a couple of LED lights. And my friend and I, who I told him about the project, he never played Shenmue, wasn't too big of a gamer, but he was like, yeah, like he lived in a studio loft in Toronto where he
Hmm.
worked out of there, and it was a creative space. So I was like, oh, cool, like let's do some interviews here. So I reached out to people in Toronto who were Shenmue fans, and I was like, hey, yeah, come down to this studio. Like, I'm doing a Shenmue documentary thing. Like, I just want to talk about Shenmue and why you love it. That's the first people I talked to, just like random fans who lived in the city.
Hmm.
From there, I reached out to uh, I guess bloggers or people who like wrote for video game websites who also happen to live in the city, just talking to them about Shenmue. And I was trying to just talk to as many people as I could about this game. And then slowly it turned into, it went from fans who lived in my city to website people who lived in my city to, let me hop on a plane. I'll interview some like maybe more higher profile people like voice actors or people who worked on the game. And it just kind of snowballed from there. It just, one thing led to another, and it kept growing and
Yeah.
growing. Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And that was before the announcement of the Kickstarter project for Shenmue
Yeah,
3,
like
right?
all that stuff was before. So there was probably, I want to say like a good 2 years, to the point where I had already spoken with, we interviewed Corey Marshall and Lisa Wilkerson and a couple of the other like smaller voice actors for the project and a few YouTubers as well. And it was just kind of, that's where I was happy with it being. I was like, if I could just talk to some voice actors and some YouTubers, and I'll just make this little, hey, yeah, Shenmue, like the theme of it was going to be like, remember Shenmue? What a great game. This is why I loved it. And we'll kind of, through people's personal experiences and anecdotes, tell that story. And then, yeah. And then one day I get a message on my phone, and it was just three exclamation marks. And it was from somebody who I like rarely talk to. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what this means. And I wasn't watching E3 at the time. And sure enough, the one time I'm not watching it is when Shenmue
Yeah.
gets announced. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Just
but
my
okay.
luck.
The thing is, the important thing is it got made in the end. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it
but
did.
you had given up hope at that point, right? So, sort of. So the
Yeah.
documentary was just like, that game that will never get a sequel,
Yeah, it was kind of
that this
like,
is why I like it.
yeah. Do you ever watch the Academy Awards? Like they usually do that little. Okay, now there's gonna be like a montage of all the actors and filmmakers who
In
passed
memoriam.
away. Yeah, in memoriam,
Yes.
and it was kind of gonna be like that, just like a little in memoriam of Shenmue, just through people's stories, and maybe there'd be like a little, oh, but you never know, and that's kind of how it was
Yeah.
gonna end. Yeah.
Okay. The story goes on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dot dot dot.
Dot dot dot.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. So then you got a very successful Kickstarter project campaign, right? So
Hmm.
over 53,000, just checking now, Canadian dollars. Over
Yeah.
1,000 people backed this
Yeah.
project, which is awesome.
Pretty wild.
Um, and so this was in 2018, which was around the time that you came on the show the last time. So
Hmm.
5 years, almost 5 years passed. What happened between then and now? I know that you had like a kind of a rocky road here
Hmm. Yeah.
between the Kickstarter being funded and then getting this actually made and edited and released. So,
Hmm.
I'd like to, briefly tell us what happened.
Yeah, yeah, we'll travel down that road in the later half of 2018, probably like August September 2018. I think it ended September something
Hmm.
2018, and yeah, so like right away it was hit the ground running. We had already kind of like lined up thing. We started lining up things right when the Kickstarter was happening, so we knew that we had already got permission to go to Japan. Um, and I guess based on the success of the Kickstarter, that was going to translate into how long can we go, how long can we stay, what can we do, and we went to Japan in December of that year, so a few months after. We just had to get the logistics in place, and things were going really, really well. I guess, yeah, this was before we or after we talked the last time, but yeah, we spent a few days at WiseNet with Suzuki-san and his development team. We were there for 3 days for like maybe 4 or 5 hours a day, kind of getting some footage of them working, going through all like the old concept art booklets, what have you, interviewing some of the key staff and Yu Suzuki, of course. We went to Sega HQ, which was really cool and really unexpected. I didn't think we would get to do that, but that's where some of the staff members were working at the time, and it was just easier for us to go there, and nobody objected to it. So we got to
Okay.
go there and talk to a few people. No photography in the building, though. That was there, just in the one room where we interviewed,
Okay.
which was unfortunate because it's a really cool building. They have a lot of Sega memorabilia all over the place. Um, yeah, and we spent, I think it was like 4 weeks total. We were in Japan. We went to Dobita, Yokosuka, got some of the historical elements there, um, and yeah, and then that trip was over, and then it was just editing, um, just the normal stuff that goes into post production on a film,
Hmm.
with the added delay of having to get everything subtitled first and translated before we could even start editing, which was a process in and of itself. Yeah, and I guess things were going, and I guess like specifically there were some bumps along the way. Like there were things like there were people interested in the documentary, but then COVID happened, and that slowed a lot of things down, and it affected everybody on a financial level, and we had to kind of like take a break and reassess, figure out
Hmm.
how we were gonna, what we were gonna do to pay the bills and keep the lights on with our jobs and whatnot, and kind of navigate those waters. Um, yeah, I mean, looking back on it now, I like to think that it's like, oh yeah, it's all well and good because I did end up finishing it. But there were periods where there was just highs and lows, man. Like it was, there were times when we would just get like hung up on one thing, and it was just hard to move the needle forward.
Yeah.
There would never. It sounds really cheesy to say it, but like not a day went by when I wasn't like, yeah, I got to finish this damn thing. Like, what do we have to do to move the needle to the next phase and really get this going? It happened eventually. It just took a very long time, unfortunately.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, for people listening to this not familiar with the process because they
Hmm.
didn't know about the Kickstarter or didn't back them, back it. So, Kickstarter backers knew about all of these because you kept updating people. And there were times where, at least I speak for myself, when maybe we thought, maybe this is not going anywhere because he's like
Yeah.
he's really like sounding desperate here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you were always the message was always like, I'm gonna do whatever is in my power. I'm gonna go through all the hoops, and this will get done in the end. So,
Yeah, I think I
and
remember when we first spoke, you had asked me like, "Is this, what are the chances this Kickstarter is going to go like some of the other ones where they just don't get fulfilled?" And I said something to the effect of like, "Well, like anytime I've ever put my mind to something and really, thrown myself at a project, I've always seen it through to the end, no matter how hard it was. This was just that, but like extrapolated a lot. Yeah, like I don't know, man. Like it uh it was at a time when those updates were getting sparse,
Mhm.
mainly because it was just like I was taking like a personal mental health checkout from the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, I can't deal with this, right? Like there was a point where I couldn't even like open Kickstarter without just having that sense of dread and anxiety. But I knew that there was like 1,000 people that backed the project that I owed something to. Um,
and probably not all of them understood the why the wait or the things that happen. I'm just guessing
yeah,
because
I think
it's the internet, right?
there's certain variables to it. Part of me wonders if some people assumed that when they backed it, I would have it done in 6 months, and then
Yeah.
maybe I was just not giving it to them for whatever reason.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it didn't get, and I guess there was one big update where we shared like the finished product just to let everybody know, like, hey guys, like we've got the story done. We still have to do like a lot of the fine tuning with the sound design and the color correction, a lot of
Hmm.
the post production tweaking and whatnot. Even just compiling the end credits was a whole thing because there's all the backers' names you got to fit in there, the photos and the videos. Which I think in the last version you saw, there was all the end credits
Yes.
had all that content in there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, things just took time, and it wasn't. It also wasn't something that, like, we had our own jobs and we had to work and pay the bills too, right? So we couldn't dedicate 100% of our time to this.
Obviously.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but
And there was something related to licensing or permissions at some point, because
yeah,
before you actually shared like the finished product, you I remember a live stream, I think, that you did of the like a live projection over the internet of of
yeah,
a version of the documentary when
right,
you were
yes.
not certain that you would be able to get the necessary permissions to get this
Hmm.
distributed and sent to people, right?
Yeah, and that's a whole thing. That's like a separate thing altogether with licensing and permissions and whatnot. When I first started this, I was just going about it like, yeah, it's all going to be good. But then as you're bringing on like I guess higher caliber of people who are being a part of this project, and you're working with WiseNet, more specifically Sega, then you start to realize, okay, we're handling something that technically is like an IP that belongs to them, right? So naturally, we're going to want to make sure that all our ducks are in a row, just in case. You know, thank God that I I love Nintendo, but thank God it wasn't a documentary about like Zelda or Mario, or else we would be getting sued like so hard. Sega was really really cool and chill about it. It was just like yeah, you just do your thing. But the 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 hold up there was we really wanted to kind of work with like them on an official level, where maybe it was like an officially licensed documentary, but at
Hmm.
this point it was just will remain just like a fan made, like unofficial fan made doc, which is totally cool. But there was
Yeah.
that hope of like, oh, can we make this like a legit thing?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. And so the the name of this, a gamer's journey, right?
Hmm.
I think also sets the tone for what the documentary is. It's the definitive history of Shenmue, but it's also the definitive history of Shenmue from the perspective of the fans, right? And how it
Perspective of the
affected
fans. Yeah, I was going to
the
say
players, right?
not just the fans, but also of Yu Suzuki as well. Like, it very
As well.
much is his journey. Shenmue was like, and not that it's the same scale as all, but I understand a little bit now of like just him, fans being like, Yu Suzuki, you have to tell the story, you have to make Shenmue 3, just not being able to make it happen for whatever reason. I understand a small fraction of what that must have felt like for him,
Hmm.
except my experience was just so much more on like a minute scale. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we both kind of shared that journey in a sense. But yeah,
Okay.
it was the journey of the fans wanting the game, Yu Suzuki's journey with Shenmue. I was on a literal journey in Japan, so that journey is very much like a recurring theme in the doc. And then yeah, the definitive history of. Obviously, we just try to tell as much about Shenmue and the detailed history of that as possible.
Hmm.
Definitive is also the name of the production team,
Yes.
Definitive
Hmm.
Film, so it all kind of ties in together. Yeah, it's a mouthful,
Excellent.
but I think I'm pretty happy with the title.
Yeah, it makes sense and it fits. I think the whole
Oh,
theme of the duck.
yeah.
So good job. Um, what would you say were like the biggest takeaways for you from this project, from this whole thing?
Yeah, biggest takeaway, man. Like, just if I were to ever do a Kickstarter project again, digital only. Let's not do the, because that introduces a whole other element to the fulfillment process.
Hmm.
That yeah, it was harder than I thought it would be for sure. Some other
Hmm.
big takeaways is yeah, just making movies is a lot of work. Like it, I don't know if a lot of people are able to see like all the work that kind of went into it, because when people hear video game documentary, you see so much of that on YouTube, but a lot of it is, one person kind of reading a script they wrote, and then they're pulling photos and video content that already exist, and they're just putting B-roll over the top with transition and effects and whatnot. But we actually had to seek out the people we wanted to talk to. We had to take that extra step to go to Japan and talk to these people and take all the hours and hours of interviews and turn that into a story. Um, I mean, people probably are able to see that and be like, yeah, it must be a lot of work, but I think it's a lot more work than you might think it is at first.
Yeah, because the proper documentary, apart from the bonus content, is like an hour and 20 something minutes, perhaps.
Yeah,
Right?
I think like an hour and 14, so a little on the
Okay.
shorter end of a feature, but then the
And then
credits kind of go
the
on.
credits, yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but to get that hour and 14 of footage and B-roll and story, and you had to spend a lot of hours and days and months working on
yeah,
that, right? And people sometimes don't realize that, don't
yeah.
appreciate the work behind this,
Yeah,
right?
like the original. Not saying that there is a full cut that's like 3 hours long, but at one point, once you're kind of throwing everything in the timeline of like, okay, this person's saying this person's saying this, then it's about like 2.5, 3 hours long, and then you have to look at what the okay, this person's saying something that this person already said, but he said it better, so let's move this here, let's move this part here, shorten this, bring in this guy to complement this. At one point, we were still editing, and we had like the finished thing kind of done, and this kind of goes back to the why it took so long and the delay. We had to shoot like two more interviews, and because it was COVID, we did them like over Zoom or whatever, that we
Okay.
then added into the doc, because we thought, okay, we need to contextualize this more and add, you know more of a through line to get to the next tangent. Like that's always how we were thinking.
Makes sense. Okay. Has your perspective of Shenmue, or what Shenmue means to you, changed after doing this documentary?
It's hard to say that it didn't, because it certainly did like affect it in some ways. I'll always always love the series and have that like passion for it, but then being kind of involved in it on this level, and just uh, and the fact that like a lot of hardships came with it, it really took a lot out of me. Not saying that I don't love the franchise anymore. It's just hard to call myself like a casual fan when it really like kicked my ass on so many levels. But I'm glad that Shenmue 3 got made and that I got to play it, and I'm still rooting for Shenmue 4 to be a thing. Like I still would love for the series to continue.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And thoughts on Shenmue 3, by the way?
Yeah, I've said this to a few people that have asked me, but I think it's both the best and the worst Shenmue game of all three. And I could elaborate on that if you want.
Please
Yeah.
do.
So there's certain elements that make Shenmue Shenmue that are very present in Shenmue 3, and that I think Shenmue 3 actually does better in those specific elements than Shenmue 1 and 2. And I'll use things like um, just the immersion in the world building, because they're able to take advantage of the Unreal Engine,
Mhm.
the lighting effects, the shaders. There's certain things that they just couldn't do on the Dreamcast that really uh, make those areas of Shenmue so much more immersive and fun to just be in. But then there's other aspects, obviously, which what you probably are already thinking what I'm going to say, but elements like the story and the pacing and the narrative aspects of it that just didn't even come close to doing what Shenmue 1 and specifically Shenmue 2, which is my favorite of the three. Shenmue 2 will always be probably one of my favorite games ever. It's kind of hard when, as fans, we were expecting that same sort of cinematic pacing that Shenmue 2 had, that really was just escalating the story. Shenmue 3 really slowed it down, and it was taking it in directions that I didn't really expect it to go in. But it had its moments for sure in the story
Mhm.
narrative aspect of it. But yeah, the things that it did right, it did really well. Like I love just walking around the areas and just really took my time going into the shops and examining things, and they all felt so different and unique. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
definitely. I'm replaying the game, or I have been
good.
replaying the game, because other things get in the way. Other games, like the new Zelda game now, that
Of
just
course.
got priority for some reason. But I have been replaying Shenmue 3 recently, the past few months, and I have to say I've been enjoying it more than I did when I first played it. And I'm not sure if that's because I can appreciate the game. If I'm maybe I'm taking more time to experience everything, like you said, like walking through the streets and visiting all the shops and doing everything that you can do. I'm not sure if that's the thing that's making me enjoy the game a little bit more, or if there's anything that I'm not really getting because I'm older. I don't know. Something is making me enjoy the game a little bit more than during my first playthrough. Not sure what.
Perhaps it aged like, and maybe it aged like a nice wine or a cheese or something like that. But I'm glad you said that
Maybe.
because I owe myself another playthrough of that game, and I was thinking about doing it pretty soon. I really wanted to finish Jedi Survivor that I'm currently playing, which
Okay.
shout out that game, so
Yes.
fun. Um,
Well, another one that I need to get
yeah,
at
but
some point.
I've
Yes.
been meaning to start up another file in Shenmue 3 and trying to go for the completionist run this time, and do all the achievements and really just
Hmm.
not rush through it. Just
Okay.
really take my time. Yeah.
Um, and maybe another thing, another factor is I'm playing it on my Steam Deck.
Oh, okay.
So I can just pick it up and play for a few minutes in bed, wherever, whenever. So
Yeah.
maybe that's part of the charm as well, because having it tied to a like a TV setup is probably was the factor that kept me from replaying it sooner, I think, as well. So having it on my Steam Deck and being able to be wherever in my house or outside and playing it, maybe that's helping the
Yeah,
improve the experience as well.
for
Maybe.
sure. Yeah, I think now that all our expectations have, like, we had our initial just exposure to it, right? And we've all had time to let that initial the shock or whatever you want to call it
Hmm.
settle. And I think really everybody who played it once should probably give it a second chance, even if you didn't like it that much. I think as a Shenmue fan, you owe it to yourself to at least play it
Yeah,
twice. I think it deserves two playthroughs regardless. I know some
yeah,
people are very very vehemently vocal on how much they do not like Shenmue 3, but play it again, see what happens.
yeah, yeah. And I think you're right. I think the initial shock, or whatever you want to call it, from all these years of wait, this massive Kickstarter campaign, and
Hmm.
some more years of wait after that. The initial shock, maybe the moment when the game came out, maybe wasn't right for us for some reason. So replaying it at a better point in your life, at or a calmer state of mind, maybe more
Yeah,
relaxed state of mind, maybe that will help
I
improve
agree.
your
I like
experience.
that. I like that viewpoint on it for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Adam, we'll keep talking a little bit more about the documentary and your experience, but I don't know if you remember, 5 years ago, we had something very special on the show when
Oh
you came on.
yes, I do
Oh,
remember.
yes.
Nice, round two. Let's go.
Okay.
Now that you know our guests, it's time to put them to the test. It's the moment we've waited for and the moment they dread.
Welcome to your doom.
I mean, welcome to the SEGA Lounge Challenge.
Round 2, as you were saying, of the Sega Lounge Challenge.
I am ready.
Okay. No, you're not. Uh, so
Questions are harder.
I call this is not just a quiz. No, this is something better, maybe. A filmmaker's journey. The definitive Adam Sipione challenge.
Oh boy, I'm gonna fail this, I think.
I don't think so. It's probably, I don't know if it's easier or harder. Let's see.
Okay.
There is one question here, by the way. Nah, I will not spoil the. No. We'll leave it till the end.
Oh
Okay.
boy. All
So
right.
10 questions, 10 rounds. It's a better way of putting it, Adam. Some are questions, some are songs that I'll play, little clips of songs.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
And the songs, you only need to tell me one thing. Shenmue or not Shenmue? Is this a Shenmue song or not? Okay.
I don't think you realize how hard this is gonna be, because there's some fan-made songs that sound just like the real thing.
Okay. Not we don't have fan-made songs. We have Sega songs.
Okay.
Okay.
All
But
right.
not all of them are Shenmue songs.
I'm ready.
So that's the challenge. But round 1 is not a song, is a question. And it's a multiple choice question. Ready?
Yes.
Yeah. So 10 rounds, 1 point each. Can we get 6 points at least? I think
Maybe.
so.
No
I
promises.
think so. Okay. So question number 1, Adam. Which of the following is not a purchasable DLC pack for Shenmue 3? Option A, Story Quest. Option B, Temple Fight. Option C, Big Merry Cruise. Which one is not a DLC pack you can purchase?
Is it Story Quest?
So option A, Story Quest is your answer.
Yeah. I'm gonna go
Story
with that.
Quest, Temple Fight, Big Merry Cruise.
Wait a minute. Oh no. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna say
It could be. I'm not saying anything.
no. I'm
Don't
trying to
read too
think.
much into it.
Okay, I'll go with my gut and get it wrong.
But it could be wrong as well. So
Okay, let's
think
let's,
about it.
let's see. Let's see what happens.
So your final answer is
Temple Fight. See what I did there?
okay. So it's your final answer. So I'm going to lock it in, right?
Yep.
Right. Okay. Story Quest, Temple Fight, Big Merry Cruise. Big Merry Cruise is a DLC pack for Shenmue 3. So it's actually between Story Quest and Temple Fight. Your answer, Temple Fight, is correct. Well done. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It
wording
is Temple
threw me
Fight.
off. Good.
Temple Fight is not a DLC pack.
Yeah.
There's Battle Quest? No, Battle something.
I remember you
Yeah.
you're fighting, but
Yes.
no temples were involved. It was
No.
like through a preset path or something like that. Yeah.
Would be nice though.
Yeah.
Temple Fight. I don't know. Okay, so good job. 1 point.
All right.
Good start. Round 2 is a song. Okay? And the only thing you need to tell me, Adam, is Shenmue or not Shenmue. Okay? Let's take a listen. And that's it.
That is Shenmue. Final answer.
You seem pretty sure of yourself.
Overly sure for this one. Very sure.
So I can lock this in.
You
The answer is
could
Shenmue.
lock it in and smash that button. I'm
Smudge that.
100% sure.
You'd be surprised, Adam. No, you wouldn't. It is Shenmue. It's Antiquity 3. Yes, from Shenmue. Well done.
When we were in Japan, we went to a bar and I requested this song specifically to play while we were having a beer. It was very nice.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Amazing. Okay, and good job. 2 points. 2 for
Nice.
2. Okay, let's enter hard mode. Maybe. Perhaps. I don't know. Question 3. What is Ryo Hazuki's birthday?
Oh, that's hard. I don't know. If it's multiple choice, I maybe can guess it.
I could give you options, I think.
No, we should call
I
it
could
out.
give you.
Give me that wrong point. I am a failure.
I know. Would you like to just guess
Sure.
something at random?
Okay. So birthday 19. Let's see. 19.
So just month and day.
Is it, okay. I'm trying to think year.
Just month and
I'm
day.
trying to do
Don't.
the math in my head.
Yeah, don't.
All right.
No
month
need for
and day.
that.
Let's say.
It's 1968, by the way.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Is it April 25th?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
Oh my God, Adam. April. What did you say? April?
25th.
Okay, this went wrong. I wanted to make a big deal out of this. No, it's not. It's not. It was so close, though. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. November 29th.
All right.
November 29th was the correct answer here.
Damn. If that's only
Okay.
question 3 hard, I can only imagine what you have in store for me.
You know, they don't get harder, I think. They don't. So I think you're good. Let's move on to round 4,
Okay.
which is another song. Ready?
Yep.
Let's take a listen.
Definitely sounds like it could be. Sounds like it is. But my gut tells
But
me that
is
it's
it?
not. I don't know what it is from, but I don't think it's Shenmue.
If it were Shenmue, where would it play?
Probably at one of the bars in Dobuita. Or it could
Probably.
even be one of the places you throw darts at in Shenmue 2. But just
Could be
it
as well.
doesn't it's not familiar enough to make me want to say that it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your final answer is Shenmue or no Shenmue?
No Shenmue.
Or not Shenmue? Not Shenmue.
Not Shenmue.
Not Shenmue. So, Adam. This song is not from Shenmue. This is
Oh.
Yakuza 4.
Okay.
It's a bar, indeed. It's a shellac bar.
Is it exclusively Yakuza 4?
It's exclusively Yakuza. I don't remember if
Okay.
it's in another one, but it's.
Oh,
I think this is Yakuza 4.
that's cool. I never
Only.
played that one,
Yes.
but it is a fun series.
But it's in the vein of the bar themes from
Yeah.
Shenmue, right?
Yeah, very evocative of, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so good job. 3 points. Halfway there. Question 5. What is Shenhua's birthday?
Oh, God. Let's see. 1 in 365 chance of getting this one right.
Indeed.
I want to say the
Look on the
month.
bright side. You don't need the year,
Okay.
which is 1970, by the
Okay.
way.
I want to say her birth month is December. And the date 5. Sure. Let's go with that.
December 5th is your answer.
It is.
No. No.
Not a surprise.
A little bit closer than before. So September 9th is the correct date.
All right.
Yes,
So still
September
very,
9th.
very far away, but
Yeah. I thought of these two questions while playing Shenmue 3 because they ask each other
that's
when their birthdays are. So I thought to myself, I need to include this in a future SEGA Lounge challenge.
Oh, that'll stump most people, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think so. So no points here, but we still have questions 6 to 10. 6 is another song.
I feel like I do good with the songs.
I think so. Let's see if you can tell me if this is a Shenmue song or not.
That's tricky. It sounds like it could be from like Hang On or Outrun or one of those arcade games or even Afterburner, but it could be a trick question. Ooh.
Trick question. Who do you think I am? Who do you take me for?
I want to say I think it might be. It might even be Afterburner. Which, if it is, it's technically Shenmue because it's in Shenmue. I will say yes. I will say it is.
It is Shenmue.
That's what I'm going to say, yeah.
It is Shenmue. Final answer.
Final answer.
So that means you either get 4 points or stick to 3.
It certainly appears that way.
Just getting things in perspective here. So your answer is yes, this is a Shenmue song. And I will tell you that, yes, it is. This is the Battle Rally opening. Battle Rally. Oh, that's it. It's Battle Rally. The other DLC.
The DLC, right.
Battle Rally. So this is the opening to Battle Rally in Shenmue 3.
Right.
So it is.
And I think I heard a story that they used a track from one of the arcade games in that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not sure if this one, I don't recognize this one. I could be wrong. People are just like typing like crazy. You suck. But they reuse an Afterburner track or two in that wood chopping minigame.
Right. Okay, that's
Once
that's
you
what it was. Yeah.
hit the log in the middle, right? You get like a very good and Afterburner songs start playing there.
Yeah.
A couple of them, if I'm not mistaken, depending on where you're chopping wood.
Nice.
Good job. 4 points. 2 left.
2 more to
2
go.
needed.
Let's go.
Okay. Question number 7, which is a multiple choice question. Which of the following bars is not a location in the Shenmue series? Option A, Eden Bar. Option B, Bar London. Option C, Heartbeats Bar. So which one is not a location in the Shenmue series?
Heartbeats Bar is a bar for sure. And I wanted to say, at first I thought Bar Eden, it's not Bar Eden. But then when I heard Bar London, I also thought it can't be Bar London. Now I'm confused. But there is a bar in Shenmue 2 that I think Shu Ying goes to that is either Bar Eden or Bar London. Or somebody else goes there. But I think it is in Shenmue 2. But my gut is telling me that it is Bar London and that Bar Eden is the one that is not in Shenmue. And I have arrived at my logical conclusion that way.
I like how you feel the need to explain yourself. And that's good. But is it enough?
We'll see.
So your answer, if I understand correctly, is Eden Bar.
Yes.
Okay. So Heartbeats Bar is indeed a bar, of course, in Yokosuka, right? In Dobuita.
Classic. The best
Classic.
bar.
Yes. So is it Eden Bar or Bar London? You said Eden Bar.
Drum roll.
So, funny story. This was one of the questions that I asked you the first time you were on the show.
Oh, really?
And the first time you got it wrong, which is why I included it in this
That's
quiz
great.
again.
I probably picked the exact same answer then.
Your reasoning up until a certain point was exactly the same. I was listening to it
That's so funny.
earlier today, but at the end, you saved it.
Oh,
It is Eden. Eden is not a bar
That's
in
great.
Shenmue. Bar London is in Shenmue 2, indeed. Yes.
So I arrived
Good
at the
job.
same line of thinking both times, just
But
different answers.
then you went into the right way because
Oh, I love it.
Good job. You learned
Amazing.
something. Yes,
I
you grew
did.
as a
Learn
as a
from
person.
my mistakes. Yep.
Yes. That's what Shenmue is all
Subconsciously,
about.
it stuck with me. Yep.
Okay, that's what the Sega Lounge Challenge is all about. Trying
We're
to make
finding
our guests
ourselves as we're
better
going here.
people.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and with that, another point, 5 points. Round 8 is our last song.
Okay. Gotta
Let's
say, I'm
take a
feeling pretty
listen.
good.
Oh, this is going to be so easy.
Oh, I hate you so much right now.
Or maybe not. Judging by your face. I
Oh
don't know.
boy. If it is,
So-
if it is,
Shenmue
it's like a
or
later
not
half.
Shenmue.
Yeah, that song either shows up towards the end of Shenmue 3, or it's from like, I don't know, one of the Yakuza games. It seems almost too dark to be Shenmue. I'm gonna say not Shenmue. Final answer.
Final answer. You're not even giving me a chance to change your mind. Saying final answer. So I'm going to lock this in, right? Not Shenmue.
Not Shenmue.
Not Shenmue.
Lock it in.
Locked in.
Oh boy.
This is called, by the way. Now we know what it's called, because for a long time we didn't really know what this was called. We used to refer this as the, and if I tell you what we used to refer this to, you will know. But this is Flow of the Legion River, which is probably a hint.
Yeah.
We used to call this the Saturn trailer song from Shenmue. So this is Shenmue 3 now. It was reused in Shenmue 3 when you go from Bailu to Niawu,
Oh, for that first boat scene?
the boat scene. And this is the song. But it was, and this is in your documentary, by the way.
It is, yeah.
It is, yes.
Yes.
But this little clip maybe made it a little bit harder to identify.
I gotta say,
know.
that scene is one of my favorite scenes from Shenmue 3. That whole boat crossing scene, the way they handled it, very nice.
Yeah. Very
I just wish it
cinematic.
was a little bit more memorable, so I would have remembered.
I agree. But it's like it's classic Shenmue. Like I compare it a little bit to the when you go from Hong Kong to Kowloon and then Kowloon to
Yeah,
Guilin.
really sets the stage. Yeah.
Yeah, like those cinematics. Those are nice. Yeah. Okay, but unfortunately, no points here. So it's all down to the last two questions.
Oh boy.
Which are questions. Both multiple choice questions. In Shenmue 3, question number 9, what's the name of the martial arts master who helps Ryo learn a new technique in exchange for alcohol? I have options, by the way, but judging by your reaction, maybe you don't need them.
No, probably need them. Should have played
Okay.
Shenmue 3 more than once.
Okay, so option A, Master Feng, or Feng, I don't know the correct pronunciation, but it's Feng. These are all characters in the game, by the way.
Mhm.
So Master Fang, Fang, something. Option B, Master Sun or Sun, S-U-N. Option C, Gold Dragon. They're all characters in Shenmue 3. Which one teaches Ryo a new technique in exchange for alcohol?
I remember that scene and having to find the alcohol in that whole part of the game. I think
Catch
it's option
chickens.
A. Yeah, that took a long time. The QTE window is very, very short for those.
It is. It is.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with option A.
So
it's
option
Master
A,
Feng.
Master Feng, F-E-N-G. Not
Yeah.
Master Sun or Gold Dragon.
Definitely not Gold Dragon. It can't be Gold Dragon. I think he's somebody you fight later. Yeah, option A.
Option A.
Yeah.
And that is your final answer.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I can see the reluctance in that yes. Yeah.
Or maybe it's confidence.
Or ooh, okay. Gold Dragon is not the correct answer. You fight Gold Dragon in the dojo, in Bailu. Is it Master Feng or Feng and Master Sun? It is Master Sun. Yes.
Darn.
Nope.
You
No.
got me again.
Okay. So, for glory, for the Sega Lounge seal of approval, Adam Sipione.
Okay.
Question 10. This is a little bit hard. Okay, just a little bit.
Don't make it about Shenmue 3. We've established that I know nothing about that
It is a
game.
bit, but not really. Okay, so.
All right.
Oh, this is breaking my heart. How many pledgers did the Kickstarter campaign for Shenmue 3 have? Option A. I have options. So
okay, yeah. I know that I
Think-
can give you the range, but
Think
yeah.
about it. Think about it. So
Yeah.
option A, 68,575. Option B, 69,320. Option C, 71,210. Okay, so 68,575, 69,320, 71,210.
Well, when you first said the question, my gut was to go immediately because I knew it was in this. At least I thought it was in the 70,000 range. So I'm gonna say option C. I just something about the 70. I remember seeing.
Which one is closer to the 70,000 mark, by the way, Adam?
Yeah.
Not trying to influence you or anything. So I said 68,575, 69,320, 71,210.
What was option A again?
68,575.
Could also be that one too. 68's jumping out at me. Ooh, decisions. Maybe it wasn't quite 71. Or maybe it was.
It's nice because you do my job for me, so I can just relax and watch you. I don't need to make you doubt yourself. So you do that for me.
So 68,
nice.
69, or 71. Those are the
Yes.
three. Okay.
And you had your mind set on 70,000, right? Somewhere around that.
Yeah, maybe it either didn't break that or... Option A. Let's go with option A. I think it might be 68.
Final answer.
Yeah, final answer.
Okay. Locked in. Option C was not the correct answer.
Okay, good.
71,000. No, not really. I asked you which of the options was closer to 70,000. I don't think you did. You even listened to that. I don't think you even heard me when I said that. The correct answer is 69,320.
I thought you were playing
Oh.
Jedi mind tricks on me.
Sometimes I am, but sometimes
Okay.
I'm a nice person. Not
Oh,
often,
darn.
but sometimes.
So 69.
Okay.
All
So
right.
this was a tricky quiz. The definitive Adam Sipione
Oh,
challenge.
those birthdays, man. Oh boy.
Yes. But five points. That was a respectable uh, score. So
It's a
well done.
passing
Well
grade in
done.
some countries, so
It is. It
at
is.
least
It
in
is.
Canada it is.
Okay. So yes, in Portugal as well. So yeah,
Ah, there we go.
like 10 out of 20. Yes. So that's it. So you get the official Sega Lounge seal of approval.
I
Once
will
more.
I will
Once more.
accept, even though I do not deserve it.
No. You do, because of all the hard work in getting this documentary out of the door, and
Well,
which is still going, right? That work.
yeah. So
Yes.
I
So
packed about 70 or 80 more today. It's just, yeah. I feel
excellent.
like a robot. Just envelope next. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much, Adam, for being a good sport and playing our little game.
Hmm.
Always appreciated. Before we go, a couple more questions regarding the documentary. So first of all, what would you say are like the highlights of this whole documentary for people who haven't? I don't know if anyone who backed the project hasn't seen it yet. Maybe some people are saving themselves for when they get the Blu-ray. But if, let's say, someone hasn't seen it,
Hmm.
which are the most memorable moments in your opinion?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think if you're a fan of Shenmue, I think you are going to like just seeing um, Yu Suzuki flipping through his books and showing you, the pages with the art, or kind of like breaking down characters in their stat sheet. Like, this person is this many years old. Their wife left them on this day. They like to go to this bar on Sundays. Like all that is kind of interesting as a Shenmue fan. Um, uh, I didn't realize how big of a deal seeing the chapter cards were. Um, until I shared them on Twitter, or sorry, on the Shenmue Dojo.
Hmm.
I just assumed that the community knew about these already, or at least had them in full HD. But when I shared them, people were very excited about that. Although I think everybody's seen them at this point, that would have been another highlight, is seeing those
Yeah.
chapter cards in like really crisp definition.
And shout out to our friends over at Shenmue Dojo who have been, you know, talking about them and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sharing them with the community as well,
yeah.
more and
Seeing the
more.
discussions coming out of that, I'm like, dang, I would have shared this sooner, guys. I just had no idea that we were waiting for these. So that was fun, yeah. And then even if you're not a fan of Shenmue, if you're just like a casual Sega fan, or a fan of video games, I think the documentary is super interesting because it kind of takes you on this journey. I'll use that word again, on just like what it was. The Sega arcade scene in the 80s, the console war between Sega and Nintendo, the rise and fall of the Dreamcast. It is like a very nice, cohesive little story about that generation of gaming. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think there's something in there for Shenmue fans and non-Shenmue fans.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're wondering why Shenmue is so popular, right?
Hopefully that gives them an
This,
idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
that gives an idea. Okay. Can non-backers have access to this documentary at some point? Will that be a
Oh,
possibility?
yeah. At some point, yes. Like digitally, I think we'll working towards making that happen like pretty soon.
Hmm.
And then for the physical copies, so many people have been messaging me asking if they could buy a copy. I would love to say yes and just get them one right there on the spot. But the reality is I ordered 1,000 of them, because that's, you order them in 575 or 750,000. So I ordered 1,000, and that's gonna let me fulfill basically all the backers and have maybe like 100 and change left over. So there will be some that I can make available. I just can't do it right now because I want to make it fair to everybody. Um, and then
Yes.
when those are gone, if the demand is there, yeah, I could order another print and make it available for other people. So I would love to. Just right now, not a good time because I have to focus on fulfilling the Kickstarter orders first.
Okay. Okay. But
Hmm.
at least digitally, people will be able to watch this
Yeah,
at
yeah,
some point
that's going to be
soon.
coming. I think sooner than later. I don't want to say or reveal anything too soon, but we got some plans in place that should be happening eventually.
Okay.
So yeah,
So watch this space, everyone. I'll be sure to share whenever there's news to share
yeah,
with people because I think it's a really nice piece of like you know history that's being preserved and shared with people. All that bonus content as well is interesting. But even just the main
hmm,
doc is really a way for people not that familiar with Shenmue to get to know a little bit more about the game and why it means so much to so many people as well, right? Because
yeah,
I really enjoyed the details of everyone who worked with Yu Sun that you guys interviewed and their faces like there whenever they were remembering. Oh, and he got here and he asked for
yeah,
this, and we
yeah.
said like how like the frustration in on their faces, and
It's probably
the
one of my favorite
desperation.
parts. Yeah,
Yeah.
is just giving them the ability to speak so freely and candidly
Yes.
about their experiences with Shenmue. Which I gotta say is I'm not a native Japanese speaker. I don't consume a lot of
Hmm.
Japanese made documentaries. But in making this project, it's kind of funny. Whenever we would interview one of the Japanese development people, they would almost be surprised that we were asking them such personal questions because maybe it's a thing that when they're doing like interviews or for press or whatever, they are speaking to just promote the game. So,
Hmm.
I think they were expecting like, oh yeah, like Shenmue 3 is going to be a great game and Yu Suzuki is a great creator and this is why everything is so perfect. And then we start asking about like, hey, yeah, yeah, but what were some, come on, what pushed your buttons? What was, and I think that kind of made them a little confused at first, and like wanted to know why we were asking them such questions. Like, what possibly could this have? What's the meaning of like how is this going to be important or relevant to what you're doing? But sure
Hmm.
enough, like that's how stories are told is through those
Yeah.
honest, real experiences.
Exactly. Yeah. It is. It's a cultural thing as well, right? So they're less open about their feelings, perhaps their emotions, and that personal
It
side
could,
of
yeah, it could have been
things,
that too.
perhaps.
But I did
Maybe.
notice there
Yeah.
was that little like they just wanted to let loose a little bit, but they needed some encouragement, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was something that surprised me as well because you got to get them to open up a little
Hmm.
bit and share
Yeah.
that side of the story,
And I'm
which is
glad.
I
I think
think
that's something
nice.
that we are very proud that we did, and I don't think that if I could say one thing about this project is, you know, you won't get that honest, really like peek behind the curtain like you would with any other kind of Shenmue videos out there. It's just ours. We just had such a unique approach and perspective to it, and we were in a very fortunate position to be able to tell the story the way that we wanted to tell it, and it worked out somehow.
Yeah,
Somehow it did. Yeah.
brilliantly, brilliantly.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So definitely recommend it for everyone who backed the project, obviously, but hopefully soon everyone else will get to uh, take a look at it as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's something that I would recommend every Sega fan. Oh, and by the way, Takenobu Mitsuyoshi is in the documentary.
He
So
is. Yeah.
for
He's got a bit of a fan base. I think when some people saw that, they
definitely,
yeah.
oh,
He was a
Taka
hilarious
dude,
guy.
the Taka dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can I tell a funny
he's
story
amazing.
about him?
Oh,
I
please.
think you'll like this. So the top backer of our documentary, they got along with all the other things, they got a signed Dreamcast that we had everyone we interviewed signed this Dreamcast, and this was going to be for the top backer, which I think was a pretty fair deal because I don't think another Dreamcast like that exists. And Yu Suzuki signed the top of the Dreamcast, and everyone else. As soon as they saw Yu Suzuki's signature, they go, "Oh, Let me sign the side. Let me sign the back. Let me sign over here. Let me sign over here. Out of respect for Yu Suzuki. And Takano Mitsuyoshi sees it. He goes, "Oh, that's Yusan's signature." They're like, "Yeah." And then just right next to it, does the most like massive, like he was like, ah, like he like yelled as he was doing it, like making a spectacle of it, and then kind of giggled to himself. And I was like, "Okay, all right, there we go." But yeah,
Awesome.
he's such
Awesome.
a funny guy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Probably speaks to their relationship as well, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think they work
veterans.
closely together, and they
Yes.
definitely understand each other. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. And I like what he said in the interview of how, without spoiling spoiling it for people who haven't seen it, but what he says about how Yu Suzuki told him to create the songs, right? Just nothing musical, just an idea for the game, and that's how it started. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we had quite a long interview with him, but I mean, we could only use so much in a film, right? Because you're only talking about the music and the sound for so long. But
Mhm.
maybe in the future we might throw that up on that link, that Kickstarter link, or make it available, like the full version of that interview, because it is pretty funny, and he talked a lot about a lot of interesting stuff in like the early Sega days. So yeah.
As a Sega fan and as a fan of Sega music specifically, I would very much appreciate that. So
Yeah.
hopefully that comes true soon. Okay, Adam. Final question. I can't remember if I asked you this last time you came on the show, but I usually do this with everyone. It's like the final question. Are you familiar with the concept of blast processing?
Blast processing.
Mm. So I'll briefly explain.
Okay.
In the 90s, during the Sega Genesis days in America, Sega came up with a marketing term called blast processing. So they said that the Genesis had blast processing, which made it faster, more powerful than the competition. So if the Genesis, do you remember that slogan? Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
Sega does what
Or Sega
Nintendo
does,
won't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. And so, and Genesis does as well, because they had like a whole campaign with singing Genesis does. And that was because of blast processing. That's what enabled the Genesis to be better than the competition.
Okay.
So obviously that's a real thing and not a made up term by marketeers. So if you could add blast processing to anything in the world, what would it be and why?
Can we just blast process Shenmue 4 to just make it fast and be here soon? Is that a possibility? Could that be an answer?
Anything in the world. Anything,
Yeah.
Adam. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I would. A little selfish. Maybe I should blast process the medical research field on like curing diseases and so. You know, yeah, I recant my answer. Let's give blast processing to the scientists who are doing good things, and we'll wait a little longer for Shenmue 4.
You know, scientists, world
Yeah.
health, but
Yeah.
Shenmue 4. So
Curing
I
diseases.
don't know.
Wanting to
Yeah,
play
but
a game.
Shenmue 4, yeah, I don't know. Choices. Okay. Adam, thank you very much for coming on the show. Anything else you'd like to mention, you'd like to say to people listening to us, whether they backed the project or not?
There is one thing to
Mhm.
people who backed the project and saw it, maybe to the people who haven't seen it yet, but maybe one day will. I would love it, and it would mean a lot if you could just drop us an honest review on. We have an IMDb page up with a whole bunch of things there. Um, don't feel like you need to go and give it a 10 out of 10 because of Shenmue. Like, I would really honestly love for just people to give their honest take on on what their thoughts are. Just looking at it as a documentary, the good and the bad and whatnot. That would mean the world to me. Just getting feedback and knowing what we could do differently next time, or maybe things we did right. It just would mean a lot to hear some feedback.
Excellent. That's a good message. I'll be sure to do that myself as well.
Thank you.
Which is something that I also ask of my listeners to do, review the podcast. That helps us improve. So
Nice.
we should all do that to help people working on these amazing projects. And I do think this is a brilliant documentary that everyone who has access to it right now as backers, they should all go and see it. Everyone else, sit tight, wait a little bit longer, right?
Don't even worry about trying to pirate it. It'll be available sooner than you think. I will leave it at that. So
yes, and don't pirate it. No, don't
probably
don't
harder to
spoil
pirate
things.
it than most things. Yeah, because it's who's seeding a gamer's journey on torrent? Probably not a lot of people.
Okay, Adam, thank you very much for coming on the show once more, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, man.
Thanks again to Adam Sipione for coming back to the SEGA Lounge. As mentioned, even if you didn't back the Kickstarter, stay tuned for news on how to watch his documentary very, very soon. Be sure to follow @ShenmueDoc on Twitter for updates. And that's about it for this week's episode of the SEGA Lounge. Thank you so much for listening, and remember to spread the word by leaving a review on your podcast service or sharing your favorite episode with your Sega-minded friends. It's all very much appreciated. Have a great week, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye! The SEGA Lounge, hosted by me, KC, and part of Radio Sega's network of live shows and podcasts. Theme song and incidental music by OSC. Find them at opussciencecollective.bandcamp.com. Got any suggestions? Drop me an email to podcast@thesegalounge.com. Find us at The SEGA Lounge on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find previous episodes of the show by going to thesegalounge.com and wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. A Mixed On Productions podcast.